When your toddler talks in perfect sentences but won't answer a simple question like, "What did you do today?" You probably think, wow, they're so advanced. But what you might not realize is that advanced speech without communication can be one of the earliest signs your child needs support. And you're missing it because it looks like brilliance. Today, I'm breaking down 7 toddler behaviors that look like gifts but are actually signals. And the difference between the two can determine whether your child gets support early or struggles for years. Before we get into these 7 behaviors, I need you to hear this. Noticing these patterns doesn't make you paranoid. It makes you attentive. These aren't diagnoses, they're signals. And the earlier you understand them, the easier everything becomes. So let's start with the one that surprises parents most. Number 1, hyperverbal speech without social use. Your toddler talks a lot. They use complex words, full sentences, maybe even phrases that sound like they came straight from a nature documentary. And everyone says, wow, they're so advanced. And you think, this is amazing. My child is ahead. But here's what's actually happening. Your child isn't communicating. They're performing. See, there's a difference most parents don't understand. Speech is not the same thing as communication. Your child has learned to produce language, complex, technically perfect language, but they're not using it to connect. They're reciting. Professionals call this scripting, where they repeat phrases from shows, rattling off facts they've memorized about dinosaurs or planets or train schedules, and when you really listen, you notice something. They're not building on what you say. They're not asking questions because they're curious about your answer. They're just talking at you. This pattern shows up everywhere. A 4-year-old who can recite entire episodes of Bluey but can't tell you what they had for lunch. That's not memory. That's scripted language replacing genuine communication. Here's a simple test for kids 2.5 and older. During playtime, not when they're tired or hungry, try to change the script. If they are reciting a scene from a show, gently interrupt and ask a question that changes the story. Like, oh no, what if the bear falls down? Now watch closely. A typical response might be pausing, laughing, or saying, he go boom. Even a simple answer shows they are thinking in the moment. But if your child gets upset that you interrupted, ignores you completely, or just keeps reciting the lines exactly as they learned them, or if they just echo your question back to you, or if they completely ignore the question and start talking about their current obsession, or if they just echo your exact words back to you. That's not shyness. That's not being distracted. That's a gap in social communication. And I need you to hear this. Your child isn't less intelligent. Their brain is just processing language differently than social connection. And once you recognize that, you can help them bridge the gap. Number 2, excessive perfectionism or fear of failure. I worked with a 3-year-old who would line up his Hot Wheels on the living room floor. Perfectly straight, perfectly spaced. Every single car facing the exact same direction. And if his little sister walked by and bumped one car, just one, out of alignment by half an inch, he would scream. Not whine, not cry, full body scream. And then he'd knock every single car off the line and start over from scratch. 20 minutes of careful placement. Gone. His mom would say, he's just detail-oriented. He cares about doing it right. But here's what she didn't see. This wasn't about doing it right. This was about needing it to be perfect just to feel okay. And that need was preventing him from doing anything else. He couldn't join other kids at the park. He couldn't tolerate his sister touching his toys. He couldn't recover from the smallest disruption. Think about it like this. Imagine you're writing an important email, something you've spent 10 minutes on, and you notice a typo in the first line. But instead of just fixing it, you feel physically unable to continue unless you delete the entire thing and start from scratch. That rising panic, that inability to move forward, that's what your child feels. Now, some perfectionism is normal at 3 or 4. Kids are learning standards and expectations. But when distress is disproportionate to the mistake, when they can't move forward unless something is exactly right, that's rigidity, anxiety, or delayed frustration tolerance. And if left unsupported, these patterns grow. Here's what to watch for. During playtime, wait for a small mistake to happen naturally. Maybe a block falls over, maybe they color outside the lines. Watch your child's response. Do they laugh it off, adjust, and keep going? Or do they freeze, completely fall apart, or shut down entirely? If it's the latter, their nervous system is struggling with flexibility. And that's something you can help them with, but only if you recognize it first. Number 3, plays near children, but not with them. Here's what to watch for at the playground, or even at a birthday party with other kids. When another kid approaches your child, pay attention. Do they look up? Do they notice? Do they track what the other child is doing, even if they don't join in? If the answer is no, if your child stays in their own bubble, completely absorbed, never once acknowledging that another human is 3 feet away, that's not shyness, that's disconnection. See, there's a developmental window for what's called parallel play, where toddlers play alongside each other without direct interaction. That is completely normal for 2-year-olds and often lasts through age 3. But even in parallel play, you should start seeing awareness, a check-in glance, looking back to see if you are watching what the other kid builds. But some kids, they play as if other children don't exist. Picture this, 2 kids in a sandbox. One builds a tower and says, "Look at my castle." The other keeps digging in the corner, never once looking up. Not because they're focused, not because they're shy, but because they genuinely didn't register that another child spoke to them. That's not introversion, that's a missed social cue. Now, you might be thinking, but my child is shy, they've always been slow to warm up, and I hear you. But there's a difference between cautious and disconnected. A shy child watches. They're aware of other kids even if they don't join in. They might hide behind your leg, but their eyes are tracking the other children. A child with social communication challenges won't even register that other children exist. So observe your child in group settings. Are they aware? Do they check to see what others are doing, even from a distance? Or do they exist in their own world, completely absorbed, as if they're the only person on the playground? If it's the latter, that matters. Number 4, obsession with one topic, character, or routine. Here's the difference between a preference and a fixation. A preference means your child loves trains and can talk about other things. A fixation means trains are the only thing. And if you try to talk about anything else, shut down, tantrum, or they steer every single conversation back to trains, no matter what you were originally talking about. One is personality, the other is rigidity. I knew a 4-year-old who only wanted to watch one episode of one show. The same episode, every single day, multiple times. He could recite every word, every sound effect, every pause, and if you tried to turn it off or suggest something different, full meltdown. Not disappointment, not negotiation, complete dysregulation. His parents thought, he just really loves this show. But here's what they didn't realize. This wasn't about loving the show. This was about needing the predictability so intensely that anything outside of it felt threatening. His world was shrinking around this one thing, and every day, it got smaller. This rigidity, this need for sameness, is the same pattern that drives scripted speech, same brain mechanism, different expression. So here's what to watch for. Does your child's interest allow flexibility? Can they talk about trains and respond when you ask about their day? Or does every conversation, every game, every single moment come back to that one topic, whether it makes sense or not? And here's the crucial part. When an interest becomes so exclusive that it gates access to play, learning, or connection, that's not passion. That's cognitive rigidity. That's their brain struggling with novelty. If your child's world is shrinking around one topic, their brain needs support expanding beyond it. Number 5, extremely high pain tolerance or overreaction. This next one is fast, but don't skip it. Does your toddler fall off furniture and not cry, burn their hand and not react? Or do minor scratches send them into inconsolable meltdowns that last 20 minutes? Both extremes, and I mean both, can signal sensory processing differences. Here's what's actually happening. Your child's nervous system isn't giving them accurate feedback about their body. Either they're under-responsive, so they don't register pain the way most people do, or they're over-responsive. So minor sensations feel overwhelming and unbearable. Picture this. A toddler touches a hot pan. Their hand makes contact. They pull away, but they don't cry. Don't flinch. Just go right back to playing. That's not toughness, that's dangerous. Another couldn't wear socks, ever, because the seams felt like knives against their skin. That wasn't manipulation. That was their sensory system in overdrive. This isn't about toughness or drama. This is about neurology. So observe how your child responds to minor bumps, temperature changes, messy textures. Is their reaction proportionate, or is it consistently absent or extreme? If you're seeing patterns at either end of that spectrum, that's worth exploring with a specialist. Because sensory differences don't resolve on their own, but they can be supported. Now, let's talk about thinking. Number 6, very literal. Thinking and difficulty with imagination. You hand them a banana and say, "Ring, ring. It's for you." And they look confused, or even frustrated, insisting, "That is a banana, not a phone." You tell them to hop in the car, and they literally start hopping toward the vehicle because they can't process the casual meaning. You try to play pretend with a block, calling it a cookie, and they get upset because it doesn't make logical sense. And you think, they're young, they're just logical. But here's what most parents don't realize. Simple pretending starts around age 2. And by age 3 or 4, children should be fully able to engage in pretend play. They might not get complex jokes, but they understand playful exaggeration. They can pretend a banana is a phone. They can imagine scenarios that haven't happened yet. But some kids? Everything is concrete, literal, one-to-one. A phone is a phone. It can't be anything else. Because in their mind, that doesn't make logical sense. This shows up everywhere. You ask, what would happen if a cow flew? A typical 4-year-old might laugh and say, he would land on the roof. A child with very literal thinking might say, cows don't fly, and get confused or frustrated that you're asking an impossible question. Now, I'm not saying every literal child has a developmental difference, but when this pattern is rigid and persistent, when they can't engage with abstract ideas, metaphors, or imaginative play, that can signal difficulty connecting abstract thought to lived context. And that matters, because flexible thinking is foundational for problem solving, social understanding, and emotional regulation later in life. Number 7, constant movement without functional purpose. Let's talk about the child who never stops moving. And I'm not talking about normal toddler energy. I'm not talking about the kid who runs around the backyard for an hour because they're exploring and playing. I'm talking about movement that feels urgent or repetitive, like your child physically cannot be still. They're climbing, spinning in circles, crashing into pillows, touching everything, not because they're exploring, but because their body won't let them stop. And you think, toddlers are supposed to be busy. This is just high energy. But here's the reality. There's a difference between curiosity-driven exploration and neurological dysregulation. A child exploring their environment moves toward something. They're investigating, experimenting, learning. Their movement has a purpose, even if that purpose is just, I wonder what this feels like. A child in a state of hyperarousal moves without direction. They're not exploring. They're not playing. They're just moving because their nervous system is stuck in overdrive, and movement is the only way their body knows how to regulate. Here's a simple test. Observe your child during a calm activity, story time, a quiet meal, or winding down before bed. Can they settle, even for just 5 minutes? Or does their body keep going, fidgeting, bouncing, getting up and down, touching, moving, no matter how tired they are or how calm the environment is? Now, around age 2, toddlers are busy. That's expected. But by 3 or 4, you should see some ability to settle during calm moments. If movement doesn't stop even when there's no stimulation and nothing to explore, that's a sign their nervous system might need support regulating arousal levels. And this matters because chronic hyperarousal doesn't just affect behavior. It affects sleep, learning, emotional regulation, and their ability to connect with you. Now, if you saw your child in any of these behaviors, here's what matters. You're not failing. Your child isn't broken. And noticing these patterns isn't the problem. It's the beginning of the solution. So here's what happens next. Start paying attention. Not with fear, with curiosity. When does your child melt down over mistakes? When do they avoid other kids? When do they move without purpose? Just notice, don't judge, don't panic, just watch. And if you want to take this further, keep simple notes. Nothing clinical, just Tuesday at park, played alone for 40 minutes, didn't look up when other kids nearby. Wednesday morning, knocked over block tower, recovered after 2 minutes, tried again. Thursday afternoon, obsessed with train video, couldn't talk about anything else at dinner. That's it. You're not diagnosing, you're documenting patterns. Then, and this is where it gets powerful, try gentle adjustments. Introduce a small challenge during play. Offer a new toy. See what happens when you provide support. How does your child respond? Do they adapt? Do they shut down? Do they need more scaffolding than other kids their age? Because here's the truth. Early support isn't about labeling your child. It's about understanding how their brain works and meeting them where they are. Your toddler isn't trying to confuse you. Your toddler is communicating. Once you learn how to read the signs, everything becomes clearer. And if your concerns persist, if you're noticing multiple patterns, start by getting their hearing checked. Even if you think it's fine, then talk to a developmental specialist. Not because something is wrong, but because early intervention gives their brain the tools and strategies it needs to thrive. That's not limiting them, that's empowering them. Now, here's what worries me. You can recognize all 7 of these signs. You can observe your child with fresh eyes. You can even start implementing gentle support strategies. But there are products sitting in your home right now, products you were told would help your child develop, that are actually making these patterns worse. I'm talking about items in your nursery, your playroom, maybe even in your diaper bag. Things you use every single day thinking you're helping. One of them? The American Academy of Pediatrics has called for a complete ban, and it's probably in your house right now. Watch this video before you use them again today.